My gold-digging wife left me bankrupt. Now she works for me, and it's minimum wage. The thought still brings a smile to my face as I unlock the office door at 5:45 a.m., 2 hours before anyone else will arrive. There's something about the quiet darkness of early morning that lets me savor what I've accomplished. 3 years ago, I couldn't have imagined being here. 3 years ago, I was lying face down on my apartment floor, wondering if I had enough pills left to end it all. The memory of that night still sends a cold ripple across my skin. The divorce papers still fresh on the coffee table. Bank accounts drained, credit cards maxed out, and Rebecca's final text message burning into my brain. Sorry it had to end this way. I deserve better. After 8 years of marriage, after supporting her through law school, after working 80-hour weeks so she could pursue her dreams, that's all I got. 7 words and financial ruin. I flip on the lights and walk through the empty office, my footsteps echoing against the polished concrete floors. The industrial minimalist design was my choice, a reminder that everything can be stripped away, leaving only the essential structure. Like my life after Rebecca left. I run my hand along the edge of the reception desk where she'll be sitting in just a few hours, unaware that this is the beginning of the end for her. Not revenge exactly. Justice. My chest tightens as I walk into my office at the back. The corner suite with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking downtown. The place I've earned through relentless work and single-minded focus. I settle into my chair and pull up the security footage from yesterday. There she is, Rebecca, wearing the fake smile I once thought was genuine, answering phones at reception. The same woman who called me pathetic for running a cute little online business that would never amount to anything, now scrambling to land this entry-level position at what has become one of the fastest-growing tech firms in the region. She doesn't know I own it. She doesn't know I'm here. And in 2 more weeks, when the trap finally springs shut, she'll understand exactly what she threw away. The first signs of betrayal came so gradually I almost missed them. Rebecca's sudden interest in her appearance before networking events, the late nights at the office that never seemed to correlate with increased billable hours at her firm, the mysterious weekend conferences, the way she began to criticize everything about me, from my clothes to my business ambitions. All while our joint accounts began to hemorrhage money in ways I couldn't track. Designer clothes, spa weekends, jewelry I never saw her wear. I opened my laptop and checked the calendar. Today marks the anniversary of the day I came home early with flowers, trying to surprise her, trying to reignite whatever was dying between us, only to find credit card statements showing hotel charges in the city where we lived, and charges for 2 on room service. My stomach twists at the memory, that same sickening, hollow feeling spreading through my chest. I had confronted her that night, the evidence laid out on our kitchen island. She didn't even try to deny it. Instead, she laughed, actually laughed, and said she'd been planning to leave me anyway, that Kevin, her firm's senior partner, could give her the life she deserved, that I was going nowhere. I take a deep breath and close my eyes, letting the bitterness wash through me rather than fighting it. My therapist taught me that. Feel it, acknowledge it, then let it pass. 3 years of therapy has helped, though Dr. Mercer still doesn't know the full extent of my plans. Some things you keep to yourself. The sun begins to rise outside my window, painting the sky in shades of orange and red. Beautiful and violent, like what's coming. It was 15 days after she left that I discovered the true extent of the damage. Rebecca had systematically emptied our savings, maxed out joint credit cards, and even taken out loans in my name, using the power of attorney I'd granted her years earlier when I traveled overseas for business. She'd been planning this for months, maybe longer. The revelation came as I sat in a financial advisor's office, trying to make sense of the smoking crater where my financial life used to be. I was worse than broke. I was nearly $300,000 in debt with no assets remaining. I checked my watch. 6:30 now. The first employees will begin arriving in an hour. My assistant Jamie will bring my coffee at 8:05, exactly as I like it. Rebecca will clock in at 8:57, always just barely on time, a habit she had during our marriage as well. The familiarity of her patterns makes this easier. The bankruptcy paperwork was finalized 6 weeks after she left. I remember standing outside the courthouse, legal documents in hand, watching autumn leaves skitter across the pavement and feeling strangely empty. Not sad anymore, not even angry, just hollow, as if everything inside me had been scooped out, leaving nothing but a shell and a single question echoing in the emptiness. What now? That night, lying on the floor of my empty apartment, she'd taken most of the furniture too. I reached the darkest point. The pill bottle was in my hand, I'd written the note. I was ready. But then my phone buzzed. A client, one of the few who had stayed with my small digital marketing business despite my personal chaos, needed an emergency website fix. Their entire system had crashed right before a major product launch. It was a simple problem, one I could fix in my sleep. I almost ignored it. Almost. I don't know why I decided to help them. Maybe some residual sense of responsibility. Maybe the tiny spark of my former self that refused to go out. I put the pills away, booted up my laptop, and fixed their system. The next morning, they referred me to another client, then another. Within 2 weeks, I had enough work to keep the lights on. Within 2 months, I had hired my first employee. Within a year, Phoenix Digital was born, named for the obvious symbolism of rising from the ashes of my former life. I pull out the folder I keep locked in my desk drawer. Inside are printouts of emails, bank statements, and legal documents. The paper trail of Rebecca's betrayal and my subsequent rise. Some might call it obsessive to keep these reminders. My therapist would certainly have questions. But these papers remind me of an important truth. Everything can be taken from you in an instant, especially by those you trust the most. The light on my desk phone blinks. The security system alerting me that someone has entered the building. I check the monitor. It's Jamie, early as usual. I close the folder and return it to the drawer, locking it securely. The past belongs in the drawer. The future is what matters now. I built Phoenix Digital methodically, laser-focused on one goal. Not just success, targeted success. I researched the digital marketing needs of every major law firm in the city, particularly Morton, Schwartz, and Levine, where Kevin, Rebecca's lover, was a senior partner and where she had been working as an associate. I created specialized services that addressed their specific pain points. I hired away top talent from their current providers. I undercut pricing until I became irresistible. 18 months of strategic growth, carefully navigated networking events, and more than a few ethically questionable competitive tactics led to the moment 6 months ago when Morton, Schwartz, and Levine signed an exclusive contract with Phoenix Digital. The trap was set, and it was beautiful in its simplicity. Jamie knocks on my door, carrying my coffee and today's agenda. I wave her in with a smile that feels almost genuine. She's been a godsend, this brilliant young woman who manages my schedule and keeps the office running. She has no idea that she's part of an elaborate revenge scheme, that her efficiency and attention to detail have helped orchestrate the downfall of someone she's never met. Sometimes I feel guilty about involving innocent people in this. But then I remember the pill bottle in my hand. The emptiness, the betrayal, and the guilt evaporates like morning dew. Once Jamie leaves, I review the timeline once more. 2 months ago, I orchestrated the most challenging phase of the plan, ensuring Rebecca lost her job at Morton, Schwartz, and Levine. It required patience, social engineering, and the help of certain contacts I developed within the firm. Nothing illegal, I was careful about that. Just the strategic placement of doubt, a few unfortunate scheduling conflicts created by system errors in their calendar software that we managed, and the timely revelation that she had been billing personal expenses to client accounts. Small things that I knew about from our marriage, habits she couldn't break. The law firm, already facing pressure to cut costs, made her position redundant. Kevin, predictably, did nothing to protect her. From what my sources told me, he'd already moved on to another young associate months earlier. Rebecca found herself unemployed, unmarketable due to whispered rumors about her ethical lapses, and suddenly desperate. That's when Phoenix Digital conveniently had an opening for a receptionist. I watch the security feed as employees begin to arrive. Each one greets the others with genuine warmth. We've built a good culture here. Ironically, the opposite of the cutthroat environment Rebecca thrives in. She hates it, I can tell. The authentic camaraderie makes her uncomfortable. She doesn't understand relationships that aren't transactional. There she is, walking through the door at 8:56. Hair perfect, posture rigid, smile plastic. She's lost weight since the divorce. Stress, probably. Or the constant dieting she believes necessary to attract powerful men. Her eyes dart around nervously as she settles at the reception desk, arranging her space with the fussy precision I remember from our marriage. She doesn't know I can see her from here. Doesn't know I own the company where she now answers phones for $15 an hour, plus meager benefits. Doesn't know that in 2 weeks during the all-company meeting, I'll finally step out of the shadows. For now, I maintain the fiction that Phoenix Digital is owned by an absent investor named Peter Fenton, a false identity I created, and that I am merely the chief operating officer. All communication from Peter comes through me. All decisions ultimately require his approval. It's an elaborate charade maintained for one purpose: to ensure Rebecca has no idea who she really works for until the moment of revelation. I did my research before hiring her. After Kevin discarded her, she quickly found another wealthy boyfriend, a cardiac surgeon with a drinking problem and a pending malpractice suit. That relationship lasted 8 months before imploding spectacularly at a hospital fundraiser. Then came the commodities trader who turned out to be married. Then the startup founder whose company went bust. Her pattern was transparent and pathetic. Latch onto success, extract value, move on when troubles appear. But her options have dwindled. At 36, with a spotty employment record and a reputation for ethical flexibility, she's running out of roads. I could have simply enjoyed my success from afar. Could have let karma do its work without my intervention. Sometimes, in my more reflective moments, I wonder if that would have been the healthier choice. But the image of those divorce papers, the maxed out credit cards, the loans taken in my name, they demand a more personal reckoning. The morning passes in a blur of meetings and decisions. We're pitching to a major client next week, and the team is energized. I've built something real here, something valuable beyond its utility for revenge. 56 employees depend on Phoenix Digital for their livelihoods. We create good work for deserving clients. This reality sometimes complicates my feelings about what I'm planning. Is it right to use a thriving business as an instrument of personal vengeance? Dr. Mercer would have thoughts about that. At lunch, I eat alone in my office as usual. Through the security feed, I watch Rebecca in the break room, attempting to ingratiate herself with a group of designers. They're polite but distant. They sense something off about her, the same predatory calculation I was once blind to. She laughs too loudly at someone's joke, touches a young man's arm too familiarly. Old habits, always hunting for the next opportunity, the next person to use. The afternoon brings a series of conference calls with clients. Rebecca's voice occasionally comes through the intercom, announcing visitors or transferring calls. Every time I hear it, my stomach tightens. The same voice that once whispered love against my skin, now professionally flat, unaware that I'm listening. There's power in this invisibility, in watching without being seen. Is this how she felt during those months of planning her exit from our marriage? This cold calculation, this patient waiting? By 5 o'clock, most employees have left. Rebecca stays until 5:15, trying to demonstrate dedication. I remain in my office until I'm certain she's gone, then make my way to her desk. I don't touch anything. That would be too risky, too obvious. I simply stand there, looking at the space she occupies, feeling the strange convergence of past and present. Her employee file lists her emergency contact as her mother in Phoenix. Not Kevin, not the surgeon or the trader or any other man. Just her mother. Something about this detail suddenly humanizes her in a way that makes me uncomfortable. I push the feeling aside and return to my office to collect my things. As I drive home to my downtown condo, a splurge once Phoenix Digital secured its first major contracts, I rehearse what I'll say at the all-company meeting in 2 weeks. The big reveal needs to be perfect. Devastating but professional. I can't appear vindictive or unhinged. This isn't about creating a scene. It's about justice administered with surgical precision. The next morning follows the same routine. And the next. Each day, I observe Rebecca from behind my one-way glass partition, cataloging her behaviors, noting her interactions. She's trying to forge alliances within the company, clearly hoping to advance beyond the reception desk. She started bringing homemade cookies to share in the break room, has volunteered to organize the office birthday celebrations. Classic Rebecca, using superficial gestures to mask her true nature. 1 week before the planned revelation, I notice something changing in her. The confident facade is slipping. Twice I see her checking her bank balance on her phone, her expression tightening with what looks like genuine worry. During lunch, she makes a call I can't hear, but her body language speaks of desperation. Shoulders hunched, free hand gesturing emphatically. When she returns to her desk, her eyes are red-rimmed. That night, I do something I promised myself I wouldn't do. I search for her current address in the employee database and drive by her apartment. It's in a rundown complex on the edge of town. Nothing like the luxury condo she shared with Kevin or the beautiful home we once owned together. Her car, no longer the BMW Kevin bought her, but a decade-old Honda, sits in the parking lot, one taillight broken. I sit in my car across the street, engine off, watching her shadow move behind cheap blinds. A strange hollowness expands in my chest. This is what I wanted, isn't it? To see her brought low, to witness her struggling the way I struggled. So why does it feel so empty? The next day, Rebecca calls in sick. It's the first time since she started working for Phoenix Digital 2 months ago. Jamie mentions it casually during our morning briefing. Rebecca called with a migraine, apologized profusely, promised to make up the time. I nod as if this information is merely administrative, but something about it nags at me. Rebecca never called in sick during our marriage, even when genuinely ill. Her fear of appearing weak, of losing ground in her perpetual climb upward, always drove her to push through any physical discomfort. The revelation occurs to me halfway through the afternoon. She can't afford to miss work. She needs every hour, every dollar. The woman who once spent $3,000 on a handbag is now counting sick days with anxious precision. I should feel triumph. Instead, I feel something unexpected, pity. It's an unwelcome emotion, one that threatens the cold clarity of my purpose. I push it aside and focus on preparations for next week's meeting. The room has been booked, the agenda distributed. Everything is in place for the moment when Rebecca learns exactly who she's been working for. That evening, I stay late reviewing quarterly projections. The company is thriving beyond my initial expectations. We're projecting 40% growth this year, with serious interest from potential investors. What began as a vehicle for revenge has evolved into something with its own momentum, its own life. I find myself wondering, not for the first time, what happens after my revenge is complete? What purpose will drive me then? Rebecca returns the next day looking pale but composed. I watch her through the security feed as she organizes her desk with mechanical precision. There's something different about her movements, a resignation that wasn't there before. During lunch, she sits alone, picking at a sad-looking salad brought from home rather than joining others in the break room. When Jamie stops by her desk with a question, Rebecca's smile looks genuine for once, grateful for the human contact. 3 days before the all-company meeting, I receive an email that changes everything. It's from Rebecca, sent to the fictional Peter Fenton address that forwards to my private account. The subject line reads simply, "Thank you." My heart pounds as I open it, certain somehow that she's discovered my identity, that the game is up. But the contents are something else entirely. Dear Mr. Fenton, I wanted to express my sincere gratitude for the opportunity to work at Phoenix Digital. Though my position is entry-level, it has been a lifeline during an extremely difficult period in my life. Your company culture of respect and collaboration is unlike anywhere I've worked before. I realize this is unusual, but I would appreciate the opportunity to speak with you about my future with the company. I believe my legal background could be an asset to Phoenix Digital as you continue to grow, perhaps in a compliance or contract management capacity. Thank you for considering this request. Sincerely, Rebecca Harlow. I read it 3 times, searching for the manipulation, the angle, the hidden agenda. But the desperate sincerity of it is unmistakable. This is Rebecca at the end of her rope, reaching out with uncharacteristic humility. The Rebecca I knew would never stoop to such directness, such naked need. I close the email without responding and pull out the folder from my locked drawer. Spread across my desk are the artifacts of betrayal, bank statements, divorce papers, credit card bills, physical evidence of the destruction she wrought. I touch each document, reminding myself of the pain behind them, trying to recapture the clarity of purpose that has driven me for 3 years. But something has shifted. The papers feel like relics from another life, artifacts without power. The woman who sits at reception with her sad homemade lunch is both the same person who devastated me and somehow not the same at all. Or perhaps I'm not the same. I stay late that night, pacing my office, wrestling with a decision I never anticipated having to make. The revenge scenario I've crafted is perfect. A public professional humiliation that would devastate Rebecca without crossing any legal or ethical lines. Just a simple announcement that I, her ex-husband whom she left bankrupt and broken, am actually Peter Fenton, the owner of the company where she now answers phones. The shocked faces of her coworkers. The knowledge that her minimum wage position was the endpoint of a long, calculated plan. The understanding that I've watched her for months silently, knowing everything while she knew nothing. But now, faced with the reality of her desperation, something in me resists the perfect execution of this plan. Is revenge justice if the target is already defeated? Is there satisfaction in destroying someone already on their knees? 2 days before the meeting, Rebecca stays late organizing files. Everyone else has gone home. She doesn't know I'm still here. Through the security feed, I watch her rubbing her temples, clearly fighting another migraine. She makes a phone call, speaking in hushed tones. I can't hear the words, but I recognize the posture. She's asking for money. From her mother, perhaps, or some friend not yet alienated. The conversation ends quickly. She puts her head in her hands for a long moment before gathering herself and returning to the files. Something about her isolation in that moment, framed by the sterile office environment I created specifically to ensnare her, strikes me with unexpected force. I built all of this company, this trap, around the memory of a woman who destroyed me. But the woman I'm watching now seems already destroyed. The night before the all-company meeting, I don't sleep. I lie awake in my expensive condo, staring at the ceiling, replaying the past 3 years like a movie. The bankruptcy, the rebirth, the methodical construction of Phoenix Digital, the careful positioning of Rebecca exactly where I wanted her. All leading to tomorrow, the moment of revelation, the culmination of my grand design. But alongside these images runs a parallel reel. Rebecca alone in her cheap apartment. Rebecca calling in sick because one lost day's wages matters now. Rebecca thanking a fictional boss for a minimum wage job. The contrast creates a dissonance I can't resolve. Morning arrives with no clarity. I dress mechanically in my best suit, the one I reserve for client presentations and board meetings. Today needs to look like business as usual until the moment of revelation. I arrive at the office earlier than normal, needing the quiet to settle my thoughts. The meeting room is prepared. Layouts for the new marketing campaign displayed on boards. Quarterly reports stacked neatly at each place. Jamie has outdone herself with the arrangements. Fresh coffee steams in carafes at the side table. Everything perfect, controlled. Employees begin to arrive. I watch from my office as Rebecca takes her place at reception, wearing what appears to be her one professional outfit, the same black skirt and blue blouse she wore to her interview. She's applied her makeup carefully, covering the dark circles under her eyes. Her hair is pulled back severely, emphasizing the new hollows in her cheeks. Jamie appears at my door with final notes for the meeting. She mentions casually that she put Rebecca at the end of the table, where she'll be less conspicuous, assuming the receptionist might feel out of place in a strategy meeting. The irony is almost too much. Rebecca has been positioned perfectly for the moment when all eyes will turn to her. At 9:30, employees begin filing into the conference room. Rebecca enters last, taking her assigned seat tentatively, a notebook clutched in her hands like a shield. I remain in my office, watching through the glass partition, my prepared remarks open on my laptop. In precisely 5 minutes, I will walk into that room, introduce myself as Peter Fenton, owner of Phoenix Digital, and watch recognition dawn on Rebecca's face. 3 years of planning, 3 years of single-minded focus, all for the next 5 minutes. I close my laptop, stand, straighten my tie, and in that moment, with perfect clarity, I know I cannot go through with it. Not because Rebecca deserves mercy, not because I've forgiven her, but because the man who walked into that conference room would still be defined by her betrayal, still tethered to the past by invisible chains of bitterness. That man, the one who spent 3 years crafting the perfect revenge, would never truly be free of her. I pick up my phone and text Jamie, emergency client situation. Start the meeting without me. Review the quarterly results and new campaign layouts. I'll join if I can. Then I sit back down at my desk and draft a new email from Peter Fenton to Rebecca Harlow. Dear Miss Harlow, thank you for your note. I appreciate your interest in growing with Phoenix Digital. While we don't currently have an opening in legal compliance, your background may indeed be valuable to the company. I've instructed HR to review your qualifications for any suitable positions that may develop as we continue to expand. In the meantime, I've approved a modest increase in your hourly wage to reflect your professional experience. Phoenix Digital values employees who show initiative and commitment. Regards, Peter Fenton. I send it, then immediately draft an email to HR, instructing them to increase Rebecca's wage by $3 an hour. Not enough to change her life dramatically. Just enough to ease the desperation I've seen in her eyes. Just enough to ensure that when I eventually do reveal myself, on my terms, privately, without audience or drama, she will understand that I had the power to crush her completely and chose not to use it. Through the glass partition, I watch Jamie leading the meeting. Rebecca sits attentively at the far end of the table, her posture rigid, clearly feeling out of place. My phone buzzes, her email notification. I watch her check her phone discreetly under the table. See her eyes widen slightly. See her swallow hard, relief softening the tense line of her shoulders. In that moment, I feel something unexpected. Not the vindictive satisfaction I'd anticipated for 3 years, but something quieter and more profound. Power. Not over Rebecca specifically, but over my own narrative. The power to choose something other than the destiny laid out by betrayal and bitterness. I turn away from the conference room and face the windows of my office, looking out over the city where my new life has taken root. Phoenix Digital will continue to grow, but no longer as an instrument of revenge. The company deserves better than that. I deserve better than that. Rebecca will continue working here, unaware for now that her ex-husband signs her paychecks. Perhaps someday I'll tell her. Perhaps not. The choice is mine, and there's freedom in that realization. More freedom than revenge could ever provide. My gold-digging wife left me bankrupt. Now she works for me at minimum wage, and I'm finally letting her go.